Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to all you softies out in internet land. Here we are in Soft Central, and I'm with James and Leslie, and we have had a bunch of great artists in the studio already so far. We've had Kevin Matthews, we had Brogo, and now we have Hiram Ring. Kick out the jams, Hiram. Let's hear your first song.
All right. This is called Chasing Shadows. Chasing shadows in my head, maybe things best left unsaid. We sit here with the silence between us. Can it be cut by a knife? How do we divide this pie? Draw these lines. Why don't you tell me what you want from me? Are you my friend or my enemy? Why don't you tell me what you want from me? Every mess I make of my life, the potter turns it into something beautiful. Every mess I make of my life, the potter turns into something beautiful. That's all I know. You say all you want is honesty, but I can read between those lines. What you want is not a man who knows what he wants, but a man who wants you. Why don't you tell me what you want from me? Are you my friend or my enemy? Why don't you tell me what you want from me? Every mess I make of my life, the potter turns it into something beautiful. Every mess I make of my life, the potter turns into something beautiful. That's all I know. Every time that I fall down, he picks me up, puts me back together. Talking about all the king's horses and all the king's men. Couldn't put this broken man together again, no. But he can. Every mess I make of my life, the potter turns it into something beautiful. Every mess I make of my life, the potter turns into something beautiful. That's all I know. That's all I know, no. Chasing shadows in my head, maybe things best left unsaid. You sit here with the silence between us. Every mess I make of my life, the potter turns it into something beautiful. Every mess I make of my life, the potter turns into something beautiful. Something beautiful, something beautiful. Oh, oh, something beautiful.
But yeah, that's Hiram Ring on the guitar and vocals. That was fantastic, Hiram. Really amazing.
Thanks,
I've seen you a bunch of times playing in, Hard Rock Cafe at the Beast here in Singapore, and hearing you in a crowded bar where people are talking and stuff like that. It's great. But honestly, being in a room with you, playing your live versions of your songs with no distractions is really something special.
Cool.
Yeah,
thanks.
Amazing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I love it. So, I mean, we've talked a bunch, and I know you've got a really interesting story. So I just wonder if you can sort of trace your roots a little bit and tell me a little bit about, I guess where you came from, how you came to Singapore, and how you sort of developed your musical heritage, really.
Cool, yeah. I grew up in Ghana in West Africa. So my parents are Bible translators, and born there, raised, traveled back and forth. Grew up singing with my family kind of around the dinner table. That's how I learned harmony and melody, and picked up the guitar when I was 16. My dad taught me some chords. He said you can play any song with these 3 chords, and it was E and A and B minor 7.
B minor 7.
Well, okay, it was like a B basically. It was like a D, I guess.
Okay.
E A D, and I just started playing every song that I knew that I'd grown up singing, and then started learning Beatles tunes and some Simon and Garfunkel, listening to the songs and kind of picking out what notes they were playing on the guitar, and then started playing music as much as I could.
And how much were you sort of influenced by the places you've lived in? Because I mean, you do have a very unique sound. I mean, it's sort of jazzy, it's kind of funky, it's kind of bluesy, and I don't really quite know how to describe it.
So when I was in Ghana, I think I was 11 or 12, and then up to when I was 15, there was a lot of drumming around, and Ghana is known as one of the hotbeds of drumming, and there were a few drummers when I was like 14 or 15 that would come to our place, and I would take lessons from them to learn how to drum. So I've always had a very kind of rhythmic sense of music.
Wow.
And I think that informs a lot of the music that I create.
It's incredible, but you don't play drums on your
songs. Well, I
I
do percussion basically, because that's what drumming is in Africa. But what they teach you when you're learning how to drum in Africa is how to listen to other drumming parts and how to fit your drum part in. And often they'll use these drumming kind of songs to tell stories. So they're actually speaking the language when they play these different tones.
So do you have a sort of a percussive approach to your guitar playing as well, would you say?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That must be why I'm thinking about Bill Hicks when I hear you play, because he's also very percussive on his guitar.
Yeah.
How he plays.
Yeah.
Okay. Starting to fit together.
Okay.
Great,
Cool.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been recording since 2008. You've got a bunch of CD. I've got Hiram's releases here. He's got EPs. He's got full releases as well. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the music that you've released?
Yeah, so I started writing songs as soon as I picked up a guitar when I was 16. And I didn't write anything good until I was like 21, 22. Seriously, like I would play these songs only for myself because they were that bad. And,
sounds like what Kevin Matthews was saying in his last interview in 2013 that time.
But after university, after college, I was working in construction. I was really trying to write more songs, and I was starting to write songs that I thought, okay, this could go somewhere. So I was going to open mics in Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I would play some original music, and I would play some covers, and people would come up to me sometimes and say, hey, what was that song that you played? Who's that by? And I was like, oh, I wrote that one. They're like, what? No. So so that's when I started thinking, well, I should record these and get them out there, even if they're not perfect. At least I have something to give people. So I started doing that, and I recorded on my computer, and I didn't know much about recording. And then I had a friend who knew more about recording, hooked me up with some equipment, and released an EP in 2008, and then released a full-length album in 2009. And that was kind of the start of my recording. And then I had a bunch of friends also who were interested in recording, mostly through my church in Pennsylvania. And so we ended up working on a few projects together. So we released 2 Christmas albums with them, and also an album of sacred songs.
Wow.
And and I just kept trying to get better at recording and trying to get better at playing music. So,
well, from what I can tell, you're doing a pretty good job so far.
Yeah.
I think I need to backtrack a little bit. I forgot to ask you about your first song and what was sort of the story behind it.
So
how you wrote it, or what you're trying to convey.
I think I started writing that when I was still in college, and I was starting to date and figure out relationships, and just felt like there were so many of these relationships that people weren't honest with each other about who they were, and about what they wanted in the relationship. And I guess it's just a cry for honesty between people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, the phrases all really, a lot of them really struck a chord with me as well, because it's, it's so well phrased and very poetic, really. Yeah, but good to know the background of the whole song. How about your second song? You're gonna you got 4 songs for us today.
Yeah, 4 songs. So this next one is also on my first album, and it's called "Go From Here." And this was the first song that really struck other people, like that actually got some radio airplay in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I wrote this just before I was graduating from college, and I realized I didn't know what the next step was, but I knew that the people in my life, the relationships that I had, would get me through the transition.
Okay.
So it's really a song about transition, and I've been transitioning a lot in my life. So.
Well, sure.
Yeah, that's what this is.
It's a long
about.
way from Ghana to here.
Yeah. All right, called "Go From Here." As the sun goes down past the far horizon, let us stay and mourn the passing of the greater light. But as we wait, the dusk is rising. Breathe the soil, the sounds, the moon is climbing through the trees. I don't know where I go from here. There's a feeling in me, it's not very clear. Life is changing like the light is fading fast, but I know that you are here and you're very near. As the colors change, the greenest grass is golden and edges soften, deepening to gray and blue. Then the light waves its final fingers, sip the twilight, smell the sweet breeze rustle through the leaves. I don't know where I go from here. There's a feeling in me, it's not very clear. Life is changing like the light is fading fast, but I know that you are here and you're very near. Now the sun is gone and all that's left is silver. Another day has left us in this soft moonlight. It seems we all have our path to travel. Watch the captain sail the moonship through the starry seas. I don't know where I go from here. There's a feeling in me, it's not very clear. Life is changing like the light is fading fast, but I know that you are here. If I must go through this life, I just want to know, will you stay by me? Will you stay by me? Even though I don't know where I go from here, there's a feeling in me, it's not very clear. Life is changing like the light is fading fast, but I know that you are here. I don't know where I go from here. There's a feeling in me, it's not very clear. Life is changing like the light is fading fast, but I know that you are here. Yes, I know that you are here and you're very near.
Shubaluba. All right. That was Hiram Ring with Go From Here on his debut CD, Breathe Deep. First song. It's great. Fantastic. Thanks. A more sort of simple type of song, but also
just folky
beautiful.
And try to tell a story.
Yeah. I'm looking at the album cover here. It's got the picture of Ghana map on the cover. And is this actually your passport?
So that was my first passport. I was born in Ghana, and so
on March 17th, 1983,
the embassy. Yeah, exactly.
It's all right here.
Yeah, March 17th is coming up, St. Patrick's Day.
Oh!
So what are you getting me for my birthday?
I'm going to give you a copy of my X-Band's CD, which I'm trying to get rid of.
Awesome. No, you shouldn't say it like that. You should say, I've got this amazing album that I'm going to gift you. That's what you should say.
It's a little piece of my heart.
All right. That sounds better.
True. And these are little pieces of your heart, too. Absolutely. Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. So now you're in Singapore.
I'm now in Singapore.
And
correct.
you're playing some shows.
Yeah, I have been working on my PhD in linguistics. I came here in 2010 to do that. And I study a language in Northeast India, so I travel back and forth. So it means that I'm a little busy.
You're a linguist.
So I haven't had as much time to play music as I would have liked. But I did manage to release another album of solo material, I guess 2012.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was good. And then I recorded a Christmas EP as well. So I stay a little busy.
And I mean, where do you sort of find inspiration for songs? I mean, you told us a couple of stories of the two songs you played so far, but I mean, if I'm very curious about your songwriting process, because you seem to be a very independent person. You know what you want to do, you know what you want to write. You have your ideas, you got your lyrics, you got your unique guitar playing style. So how does the songwriting process work for you?
Well, I find that I write more songs if I'm in the same place for a while.
Oh. Okay.
Whether that's like, basically if I'm living in one place for a while. So I could be in India, I could be in the US, I could be here in Singapore. But as long as I have a place to come home to for several months, then I start getting my guitar out more often. I sit down and I play regularly.
That's interesting.
And when I play regularly, then I come up with ideas on the guitar. And these are just like melodic lines or chord progressions, and that's usually the basis of my writing. Now sometimes it does happen the other way, where I'm like in the MRT, or I'm walking around and I start like humming something, or I come up with a line that I really think is cool, and then I'll write it down and maybe work on it. But usually it starts with the music. Yeah.
Interesting. For me, it tends to be a bit more the latter part of what you're saying, like random thoughts come in, but it's very interesting, because we were just talking to Kevin Matthews, and he's written hundreds of songs, and seems like he wrote his first sort of overseas travel song. He went to another country and he wrote a song while he was there.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounded like it was his first time ever.
Yeah.
But then you think about all those bands that write, their albums on the road.
Yeah.
They're touring and then they got all the spare time and then they write songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess everyone has a different approach, but that's great. That. So you're here in Singapore for a while. So
yeah.
Yeah. Are you? Do you have a couple of songs that you're working on right now as well?
Yeah. Mostly, so I'm going to a church here that we're working on another album, so a church album, and then some friends asked me to write a song for Mother's Day, so I wrote a song for Mother's Day. So sometimes all it takes is like someone tells me, "Oh, write a song about this," and then I'll write a song. But I haven't come up with very much material that I'd want to put on a new album. So I think there's a bit of a distinction there. In terms of like solo material, I haven't written that much, and it might just be because I haven't taken the time to sit down or I've just been too busy with thinking about linguistics, and linguistics doesn't really lend itself to writing the kind of songs
you can sing in another language
that I've recorded in the last couple of years. So,
great.
Yeah.
But you're going to play one new song for us tonight, aren't you?
I will, probably as the last song.
Okay. So what have you got coming up next?
So this next song is a pretty straight folk tune, and it's on my second album, and which is called Home. But this song is called Virginia, and I wrote it while I was at the end of a tour. I was driving back into Pennsylvania, and I was remembering the beginning of my trip, which had started with me going through the Blue Ridge Mountains. And this was a song that just kind of came to me as I was driving, and I tried to like remember the lyrics, and then finally I had to pull over and write them down because they just kept coming.
so you had this moment of great inspiration while you were driving.
Yeah, while I was driving.
Oh man,
go figure.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
the Blue Ridge Mountain.
Blue Ridge Mountains.
Was it almost heaven?
I don't know if it was almost heaven, but it was pretty much.
It's the lyrics from the John Denver song.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know if have you ever been to the Blue Ridge Mountains?
No.
Okay, because that's, I mean, what John Denver talks about is like, yeah, there's something pretty incredible about that place, and I don't know what it is, but it's just like.
And this song came, sort of percolated out of.
Yeah, percolated out of that, and became something completely different.
I've heard the song before, and I know it's good, and I can't wait to hear it. Come on, Hiram, hit us.
All right. It's called Virginia. I left my heart in old Virginia, where the hills so gently roll. I left my heart there in Virginia, but I'm going to my home. I traveled far along the byways with the law behind, I know. But when I reached those Blue Ridge Mountains, I had nowhere left to go. And then beside me stood a maiden. Her skin was fairer than the light. Her lips were soft, her eyes shone brightly. Her hair was darker than the night. Oh, my love, her skin was fairer than the light. Oh, my love, her hair was darker, darker than the night. She told me that I must go with her, and then she gave to me her hand. I took it and I held it tightly. It was the fairest in the land. So she took me to her bower, to the place she called her home. And there she offered me some poison I gladly drank till it was gone. When I awoke, standing before me were the lawman and his kin. But beside me lay the maiden, and oh how fair still was her skin. Oh my love, her skin was fairer than the light. Oh my love, her hair was darker than the. Oh my love, her skin was fairer than the light. Oh my love, her hair was darker than the night. And now I go to face the gallows along the roads that lead me home. But my heart is in Virginia, where the hills so gently roll. Oh my love, her skin was fairer than the light. Oh my love, her hair was darker than the. Oh my love, her skin was fairer than the light. Oh my love, her hair was darker than the. Oh my love, her skin was fairer than the light. Oh my love, her hair was darker than the. Oh my love, her skin was fairer than the light. Oh my love, her hair was darker than the night.
So who's the mystery lady?
Huh?
Who's the mystery lady in the song?
I don't know. Some black-haired girl.
Wonderful, yeah. So is it kind of symbolic or metaphysical or literal?
Well, I like the idea of like there being this reason for the guy to stop, right? So you've got this highwayman, he's going through the mountains, and there has to be a reason why he stopped and didn't keep running away from the law, right? So here you go. Must be a girl involved.
There's always a girl.
So and then I just kind of played around with the words and thought about, okay, what's a metaphor for something negative, that you can ingest. Poison. Well, what is poison? Different people, it's different things, right? Some people it's alcohol, some people it's drugs, some people it's sex, some people it's money. I mean, there's all sorts of things that can be poison for you.
Some people
right?
it's, Facebook.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like poison is such a rich term in that context because everyone can relate with that. There's always something in someone's life that they wish wasn't there, right?
Especially when you wake up. Right.
And the lawman is there, and he's gonna catch you.
Because he's always there. Yeah, great. So I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about your amazing website. So we've got Hiram.
Yeah, HiramRing.com. Check it out. It's
I can't believe that nobody else grabbed that before you did.
Yeah, right.
So
there's
HiramRing.com.
not many people with my name. That's for
HiramRing.com. Got to go there.
Actually, people when I first started playing music, they're like, "What's your name?" I'd say Hiram Ring. They're like, "What's your real name?"
Well, Ring's not really. Ring sounds like a stage name. It doesn't sound like a your family name's not Jones or Smith.
Yeah, so, like a last name and a stage name is usually like one syllable or two max. Very rarely do you have more than that.
Right.
It's got to be something that people can say quickly that can kind of grab their attention. So I guess I was just born to be a performer or something.
Yeah, man. You were blessed in many ways.
In many ways.
Yeah. So tell us about your website. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff there.
So the website started when I was playing music, and then I started getting more into linguistics, and so there's information on linguistic stuff that I do. But my most recent album, Home, you can link to it from there. It's on Bandcamp. You can stream it, or you can buy it on iTunes or wherever. And then I keep a blog, but I'm not as regular as I would like to be with my writing, strangely enough.
None of us are. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And you got your video up there. I think you did a video for one of your songs?
Yeah, if you click on the downloads link or tab, I've done a couple music videos. The first one I did was for a song called One Girl for Me, which is a jazz tune.
Cool. Well, let's watch a little bit about this right now.
There is one girl for me, and I know it will be you, my love. There is one girl for me, you must have been sent here, my love. 'Cause when we kiss, I feel the bliss of heaven from above. There is one girl for me, I know it will be you, my love.
Nice. And she doesn't have black hair.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting that you got this sort of jazz feel to it. So can you tell us a little bit about the jazz collaboration that you did?
So this was basically a song that I wrote on my guitar, and my uncle had taught me some nice bluesy, jazzy chords. So I was playing around with those, came up with the song. And then one of my good friends is a guy named Matthew Monticchio. He's a jazz pianist, classical composer in Lancaster. And I collaborated with him on a lot of these church projects. And so I wanted to do this in a very jazzy kind of way, this particular song. So I had a friend who had a studio of sorts in his upstairs, and so I got Matt and a couple other jazz friends to come and just do a trio, and then I just sang.
It's just a song, or is it more than one?
We did two songs with that trio, and I really liked that sound, and I would have liked to do more, but we just didn't have the time.
Sure.
But we did 2 takes of each, and we kept the best one. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Actually, I've only ever seen you play solo, one man, one guitar, one voice. When do you collaborate and when do you do solo?
I usually collaborate when there's the opportunity. So, and usually opportunity means you both, or everyone who's collaborating is in the same place at the same time, or is able to be in the same place at the same time. And the best collaborations have been where I really connected with the person, and we just started working together. We started hanging out more, and then we'd play music and we'd try stuff. And that's basically what Matt and I did. I've usually it's kind of on an event by event basis, because it's much easier to tour, play songs when you're just one guy. You know, logistics are really simple, and I like simplicity.
Sure.
So if it's going to be too much effort to try and get a group together, then it's not really interesting to me to do so. But I find that other performers really add a lot to the sound, and so I'd like to do more of that given the opportunity.
Well, here you are in Singapore with a rich musical community, as you well know. So, any plans for?
But no time.
Okay.
That's the issue. Like, a lot of the people that I meet maybe don't have time, or their schedule doesn't line up with mine.
Okay. Well, you have your priorities, and you know what works well for you. So stick to it, of course.
Cool.
Yeah. So you got another song for us, and this is a debut, is it?
Well, this is on YouTube somewhere, and it's called "You Don't Belong to Me." And it's also about relationships. So I seem to write a lot of those kinds of songs.
Very popular topic.
It's about realizing that that the other person is their own person, and trying to differentiate between, like, who am I and who are you, and what that means in a relationship, and how you really need to respect that boundary.
Sure.
But just trying to come to terms with that, I guess. So, you don't belong to me. Taste of your lips, the curves of your skin are etched in my mind. The glow of a cigarette, this nicotine burn. Don't want to unlearn, but you don't belong to me. The weight of your gaze, the touch of your hand, it still pricks my skin. The burn of a needle's art, this cocaine tattoo. Don't want to undo, but you don't belong to me. Were you ever mine? Or did I believe a lie that I told myself? Were you killing time, playing the Queen of Hearts only to show me that you don't belong to me? This wine in my veins, this blood on my hands, it clouds up the view. The hindsight of memory, this heroin rush, I can't get enough, but you don't belong to me. Were you ever mine? Did I believe a lie that I told myself? Were you killing time, playing the Queen of Hearts only to show me that you don't belong to me? Were you ever mine? Did I believe a lie that I told myself? Were you killing time, playing the Queen of Hearts only to show me? Playing the Queen of Hearts only to show me that you don't belong to me. You don't belong to me. Oh, 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 you don't belong to me.
Here we are back at Soft TV, the singer-songwriter series with Hiram Ring. You Don't Belong to Me. Great song.
Thanks.
It's so awesome. Honestly, I've said it before, I'll say it again. You know, I see you in pubs and there's distractions, people talking. Maybe I'm chatting with somebody, but like to be in a room like this, you know, the undivided attention on Hiram playing his beautiful songs live. It's really incredible experience. Yeah.
Well, really, thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah.
There's not many places like this in Singapore, unfortunately, and we need more of those. So
Yeah. To promote live music and original music, of course. Yeah. So I guess maybe I always want to pose the question for people who come on to Soft TV, because you guys, someone like yourself, Kevin Matthews earlier on, I mean you've been doing this for a while. What sort of advice would you give for those youngsters, people who are in their teens? They've got some talent, they got some ideas, don't really know how to put it all together. I mean, you've released 7 albums. You've got your own record label, right? Ring Records, is it?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, how does this all happen? I mean, how do you put it together, and how do you keep it going?
I was just really interested in making this happen, and I just pursued all avenues that I could to figure out how I could make a viable living, and I did that for a couple of years. Before I heard about this opportunity in Singapore for a PhD. I just really loved it, but there was also a point where I felt like I had to progress past what I always had this understanding of what quality was, and that I needed to work really hard to get to that point where I could match up my music with another singer-songwriter's, and they would both sound pretty good, And so I think a lot of it is just listening to as much as you can, just continue trying to make your music at that quality. So whether that's, I mean, I used to play guitar for hours on end because I wanted to get good at guitar, and then I would write songs, and I would spend several hours writing songs because I wanted to get good at writing, and then I would play those songs for people like my parents or other people who I knew would give me good feedback, who would be critical, who wouldn't say, "Oh, that's great," and then just walk away, but they would say, "I like the idea, but you need to work on this phrase," or "it just doesn't, like, the chorus doesn't grab me," like things like that. Very helpful, which I think for a lot of musicians, it can be very difficult because this is something that you created and you don't want to see it get destroyed.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
if you're willing to take that kind of necessary criticism, it can really make your work better. If you can step back from your work, look at it critically, and understand that maybe it's not as good as you think it is when you first create it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So,
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about maybe a little bit more on the business mechanic side of it? Like, I mean, how do you approach, or what advantages do you see on nowadays the digital element of music? Don't need to sell physical CDs, or the use of social media or websites. I mean, you've got your own website, but not every band does. So could you maybe give some advice or some thoughts on those strategies?
There are some very free sites out there, and by very free I mean completely free. So like my site is hosted on a site called Weebly.com.
Okay.
And it's not the best. I'm not really a web designer, so I'm basically just using their template, and that's fine.
It's a pretty good template.
Yeah, it's decent. It's not like amazing, but the point is that I wanted to have information there that people could use. And I did have another website earlier when I first started that I paid someone to make, and it worked pretty well for 4 or 5 years. And then it stopped getting maintained, and I didn't have access to the server and all this stuff. Right. So I just figured I'll go with a free one for now. So I just point my domain name there. And as far as making a living as a business, you just got to look at the bottom line on everything. If it's costing you more to keep up a website than the website is generating for you, then it's just not worth having a website. If it's taking up too much time, then maybe you should consider hiring someone to do it. But if you don't have money to pay the person, then don't worry about it. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of these very kind of simple rudimentary approaches to running a business are, am I making more than I'm spending? And that's kind of the bottom line. So having spent all the money that I did on equipment, on marketing, on trying to book shows, and I was fortunate after 2 years to actually be making a living at it. But sometimes it's a lot more hard work.
And that was in the U.S.,
That was in the U.S., yeah. So I kind of took the approach when I came to Singapore that I'm just going to continue writing music, continue releasing music, but I'm going to do it in the most economical way possible and not worry too much about getting discovered or paying people so that they'll hear my music. Or, I just want to focus on making good music and make it available for people. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you got coming up. Do you have some shows coming up?
At this point, I don't have shows coming up. There might be an event on April 15th, but I'm thinking I might go home and visit my parents during that time. So I don't know. Yeah, but if you pay attention to my website, you'll probably see some posts on stuff that I'm doing.
And where else can people find you besides?
Well, I usually go to the open mic at the Beast on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
And then I've been playing a little bit kind of around that area, Arab Street area.
Okay. And what about online? We can find you at hiramring.com, and you've got SoundCloud as well?
So probably the main place is hiramring.com and Ring Records. I'm a user Ring Records on YouTube. So youtube.com/users/Ring Records. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. Okay. I don't really post up to SoundCloud as much as I ought to. There's a lot of things that I don't do as much as I ought to. If I really wanted to,
well, you're
expand my reach and all that. But
you're pursuing a PhD,
and
so then
and I'd rather focus on the music.
Keeps you busy. Do you want to say a couple of words about your studies?
So I've been studying a language in Northeast India called Panar, which is PNAR, Panar, spoken in the state of Meghalaya in Northeast India, and it's an Austroasiatic language. It's a language spoken by about 400,000 people, and it's surrounded by languages from a different family, so Tibeto-Burman languages and Indo-Aryan languages. So it's kind of isolated in that mountainous region.
Can you sing any songs in Panar?
I learned a song to sing in Panar, but I can't remember it at the moment. It's been a while. So when I first went to that area, when people found out that I was a musician, I got immediately connected with a lot of other musicians there. And so some of them actually write songs in English because one of the operating languages of India is English, and so you can reach a lot more people that way. So I help them write a couple songs, and so one of my friends there has a studio, and he records local musicians, and then another guy there is a rapper, and he raps in the local language, but also in Panar, English, Panar in English, yeah.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been really cool to go back and forth there. I made a lot of really good friends, and I've been writing a grammatical description of the language, so describing the sound system, how all the sounds combine into words, and how all the words get arranged into sentences. So, well,
I hope you keep the music of bring back something of the music as well. That'd be really great for the soft community anyway.
Yeah, cool.
And people like Irfan Rice would be fascinating, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Anyway, thanks so much, Hiram, for coming in today and playing your beautiful song. That's incredible.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's been awesome.
All right, so this is wrapping up another session of the Soft Singer-Songwriter series. I'm Peter Hofflich, signing out for the day. We've had 3 great bands. We had Kevin Matthews, we had Brogo, and now we have Hiram Ring. And please tune in next month for another session. Yeah.